Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Steltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last year or so, I've been featuring each Fijowa or King's daughter and getting to know their stories a little bit better. We're on number 179, if you can believe it. There are over 700, so we've got a long way to go. Today we are featuring episode 179, Denise Leclerc. But before we begin, let us see how you can support the channel. The first three keep you in the know. It's subscribe, like, and notify. The next three are really ways of showing your support on a bigger level, where you can super thanks, which is right on your dashboard. You can also do a coffee, which is on another platform, and also Patreon. All of these, I have the links to it. So if you want to explore how you can help the channel grow even more, I'd appreciate. I want to do a big shout out to those of you who have supported me all along. Appreciate your support. I really, really mean it. Let's get started and get to know our Fijowa of this episode. Today we are featuring episode 179, Denise Leclerc. She was suggested by a viewer, just like you. So if you've got one in mind that I haven't done, please let me know. You can website to see the list of all of the Fijowa that have been done. I have an alphabetized list and an index of the number episodes, so you can really explore that. When I looked at my files, the only other person was my best friend's daughter on her father's side. So that was kind of interesting as well. So let's have a look at Denise and her journey. So Denise was born in 1654 in Gonesse, France. Her parish was Notre Dame, which we'll explore in a minute. Her parents were Jean Leclerc and Jeanne Mircolon. And Gonesse is found in the Île-de-France region. I've circled it, which is part of Paris. And inside that particular region, we have Val d'Oise, and that is the county, or département, as they call it. And this particular commune, which, as you know, commune means town or, ville, and it's occupied since prehistory. Gonesse, as it was known, was not really born until the 9th century under the name of Gonissa. And it was known for its cloth manufactures between the 11th and 14th century. It also has flour and bread as part of its reputation. The city actually had hosted the first landing of a gas balloon in 1783. And today, of course, is a village, a commune with a residential history, with a great deal of history and just extraordinary tapestry of what France was and is. And this is a shot of it overlooking, and this is the parish of Notre Dame, the Notre Dame Church that is found in Gonesse. So let's find out when Denise comes to New France. After her father's death, she leaves for New France aboard the Jean-Baptiste, and she arrives in Quebec City on June 30th, 1669. She carries with her a dowry of about 200 pounds. Groom that she selected and who selected her, his name, Claude Delhomme. And he was born in 1631 in a town called Abbeville, which is a commune in the Somme, and it is found in the Île-de-France region. Today, the population is over 23,000, and it's located on the river Somme. It can date itself from the 3rd century when the Romans named it Abbatius Villa. Isn't that amazing? The church Jean-Baptiste de Rouvray has existed since the 1500s. So that's presumably the church where Claude would have been baptized. And this is an example on the right of the city and how it looks. So just a really picturesque kind of thing. Don't you find all the villages in France look like something out of a postcard? Because of its history, because it's been there for so long. It just seeps it, So Claude would come to New France, and presumably as an engagé, somebody who signed a 3-year contract. He is listed in the 1666 census as 26 years old, cordier travaillant, which basically means shoemaker. Interesting to look at how the name is spelled. So L'Aume, accent aigu, Lomé. And so it's kind of like a real phonetic spelling. So always remember to not get so hung up on that spelling, how we're spelling it today. Try to open think outside the box. So Denise and Claude are married October 3rd, 1669, at Saint Famille on the island of Orleans. Let's get to know the island of Orleans. So they settle on Ile d'Orléans, which is located on the St. Lawrence River, about 3 miles east of downtown Quebec City as the crow flies. The island was really one of the very first regions to be colonized by the French, and a large percentage of French Canadians can trace their ancestry to the early residents of the island. And it is, without question, a representative of Quebec in the 16th century. I want to also draw your attention to the map in the middle. This is to show you that even though it's an island, it's got 6 different sections, and each one has their own church, and it's a village unto itself. So it's really important that you know or try to determine which part of the island your family was from, because that's where you're going to find the records, that's where the gravestones are, all of that, hopefully. And so we have Saint Famille, which is the very first one, and then followed by Saint François, Saint Jean, Saint Laurent, and then finally Saint Pierre and Saint Petronille. So these are the 6 areas that you need to focus on and understand. And also, Ile d'Orléans wasn't always known as Ile d'Orléans. Occasionally it was known as Grande Ile, Sainte Marie, Saint Laurent, and it actually was finally named Ile d'Orléans in honor of the second son of King Francis I, Henry, who was also Duke of Orléans in France. So this is why it became known as Ile d'Orléans. But you'll see in the early settlements, it's not always known as that. And so I want to also show you the 1681 census where we find Claude and Denise. You can see the big age gap as well, or at least the one that they're assuming. Again, these dates and the years and all of that are all subject unless you have the proof of the birth record. So you've got to, really go, okay, this is my people. And again, the name is spelled in a different way. Their children, Jean, who's 10 years old, Bernard, 8, Marie, 6, and they have 2 goats and 6 arpents valaires, so about 4 acres of land. So their first son, Jean, would pass away sometime after the 1681 census. Their second child, Bernard, would go on to marry Marie-Madeleine Bazillac and have 4 children, 2 of whom would make it to adulthood. Marie's mother, Marie-Madeleine's mother, was a fille du roi who happened to be Catherine de la Laure, one of my favorite episodes, from episode number 66. He then married Marie Mercotte and had 6 children, 5 of whom survived. Marie's mother was also a fille du roi, Martine Tavery, who we have not yet profiled. Can't wait to do her. Marianne would marry Louis Lemelay and have 13 children, 12 of whom would make it to adulthood. So Claude would die on the 8th of November, 1695. He was 64 years old. He and Denise would have been married 26 years. They would end up having 76 descendants from 2 lines. It's really quite amazing. So by 1729, there were 76 descendants, of which my viewer is one of them. She would have a second chance at love. Marais Dellery, he was born in 1636 in Saint-Sauveur-de-Neufville in France. His parents were Pierre Dellery and Marie de Trelot. He's from the region of France known as Hauts-de-France, and he is from inside that region, the Département of Oise. His church would be the Saint-Sauveur-de-Neufville, and this is an overview of the small community, about 1,200 that live there now. There's numerous. This particular area is widely regarded as a therapeutic kind of hot springs or water springs, both hot and cold, and it's reputed to provide relief for rheumatism and other ailments. Marais was actually married first to Jeanne Dufresne here in New France. He did not have children with her, and then he married Marianne Lafontaine, with whom he had children. So he was coming as a widow to the marriage as she was. So they were married on the island on February 19th, 1703. So it was about, about a 7 or 8 year period that she was a widow. So she wasn't needing to be married. He had left her, presumably, um, and stable enough that she could survive without marrying someone right away. So that's a nice thing to think about as well. So their happiness was short-lived. Mireille would go on to die only 4 years later, and he is buried at Saint-Laurent. We don't have a death record for Denise, but the last time she's mentioned in any documents is September of 1713. If she died in that, she would have been just very, very close to being 60 years of age. So a fairly early end for her as well. And a rose by any other name? Let's go over the list of potential ways this name could be spelled, and could be spelled other ways and have even greater variations. But these are the ones we've been able to ascertain. Dénommé with an accent aigu, dénommé, dénommé, de nommé, nommé, de l'onné, nonné, and dénommé. So these are all potentials for when you're doing the research. I'm always so excited when I can find an external resource for the family, and here it is, Dénommé, which is part of that family, and I've listed. I went and kind of got lost in that. It was really interesting. So have a look at that. I posted the address in the notes section, so you can have a look. So here are the resources I use time and again. La Société des Filles du Roi, Quebec Genealogical E-Society, Nos Origines, Wikitree, Facebook, and Genealogie Quebec. All of these are my faves. I used to have one called Migration, but as of this recording, I haven't been able to go online, so I've pulled it from my resources, only not to. But if you let me know if it comes back on, I'll put it back on. So I'm very disappointed. That was one of my favorites. So thank you for watching episode 179, Denise Leclerc. She came to our shores as a young girl, 15 or 16 years of age, married much older men, and somehow managed to produce 76 descendants as of 1729. Just amazing story. And she married one, and then she married twice, two pioneers of Ile d'Orléans, so she can be counted as one of the pioneers, definitely, of this section of Quebec. We are grateful for her contribution, and we are thankful that she came to our shore, and most of all, we bless her memory. Thank you, Denise. And for those of you who are her grandchildren, please write it down in the notes below. I can't wait to see how those 76 grew into, all the descendants, and I'm sure she has. So with that being said, till I see you on episode 180, au revoir.